thanks to Cocolicious VCO for sponsoring this episode.
Hello and welcome to Trenta, 30-something conversations with 30-somethings and the 30-something else. Our guest for this episode is another dear friend of mine whom I'd say is very adventurous and lagan. I think that's why we get along well, and is one of the lucky few who get to travel a lot for work and play. And she's here to talk all about travel. So everyone please welcome Joyce Yang. Hello!
Hi, Paige.
Hi, Beshi. So, may I ask you to introduce yourself with your ASL?
ASL. So, age 31. Oh my God, plus one. And then female, currently in Metro Manila.
All right. To begin, can you give us a glimpse of what you do or what you used to do before COVID? Like how often you traveled for work, for leisure?
Okay, in terms of traveling, I think it's pretty much siguro on an average, maybe I can say 4 to 5 days per week. So that's quite a lot.
Yeah. How has the pandemic affected your lifestyle and how have you been adjusting? So coming from a very fast-paced lifestyle with a super packed schedule and then suddenly you're forced to stay in one place. How have you been coping?
Maybe to elaborate lang on the 4 to 5 days that I mentioned. So siguro normally for work, I travel at least once every 2 weeks, and then mostly every weekend I make sure to go out. So it's either just within Luzon, kasi I recently just enjoyed scuba diving. So it's either in Anilao, so Batangas, or I fly out for vacation siguro once every 2 months within the Philippines. And then for work, it's pretty much nationwide. Given that the first impact of the pandemic was really restrictions in air, land, and sea.
Right.
So parang very, very, should I say, sudden in terms of lifestyle shift.
So let's reminisce a bit and go back to a time not so long ago. What was your last trip before COVID? Where was your last trip before
My
COVID?
last, okay, so kasi I'm a planner type of person. So I laid down siguro trips for the next 6 months supposedly. But for 2020, I think the trips that I planned was only up until May. And then I always have a major travel on my birthday, which is February. So I was supposed to go on a major vacation in New Zealand,
Right.
but I was worried. I was anticipating that I would get locked down somewhere, or that I would get the infection maybe at layover and be trapped. I was like, I'm a very praying type of person. So since Feb pa lang, I've already felt the impact of this pandemic. So instead, I chose to cancel my trips voluntarily, Feb pa lang onwards, and chose to travel within Luzon. So I did a road trip to Banawe, Batad, and Sagada. So that's like in exchange for I think that was 10 days vacation to New Zealand. I took a 10 days leave and did, North Luzon.
Did you go to Boracay also?
Oh, yes, I went to Boracay. Actually, Aklan. I went to Aklan. Yes, that was March, right before, siguro 3 days before the closure. So it was pretty packed. The airport was packed. I went there for work. So, and then 3 days later, I think I was Friday, Saturday, and then Tuesday, lockdown na.
Wow. So what a sudden shift in your schedule, no? What has been your most unforgettable trip so far?
Most, this pandemic, I've actually had the time to filter and sort through my photos in in my phone. And one thing that that I really find incredible that I did, parang I feel like that was like eons ago when I look at the photos, was my caving experience. So I slept inside a cave. So that was the first. That was just last year, but I feel like parang I don't
Where
remember
was
all the
this?
pain sa legs. This was in Leyte,
Ah, okay.
Samar.
Mhm.
Yes, yes, yes. So it was just, I think, 4 or 5 days. I did like an off-grid vacation. So we flew in from Tacloban, took a 5-hour road trip going to Langon Gobingog Cave, and then
Mm.
siguro 1 hour to 2 hours trek. And then we slept inside the cave. We went like trekking overnight and then spelunking then overnight. And then the next day when we woke up, we hiked back to the starting point and then took another, I think, 5 hours land trip to go diving naman on the other side of Leyte. So it was pretty amazing.
Wow. But also, didn't you go skydiving?
Yes, that was also like ages ago. I don't know what's wrong. Parang I move on and forget about it right away. I feel like that was like magdugay na kayo in my mind, but I think that was just like 3 years ago.
How was that like? What made you decide to go skydiving? That was in Australia, right?
Yes, yes, in Sydney.
What made you?
That
Yeah.
that has always been on my list. I'm not. I'm super talawan. I mean, it just people think I'm adventurous, but in reality, like I always hesitate. I always think twice. I'm an overthinker. So
But you did
so
it.
imagine, yes, after convincing myself.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
So how was the thought process like? Like, did you just randomly uh book that what do you call it, experience, or like the schedule to skydive? Did you tell anyone? Because I'm sure like there would be family members who might stop you from doing it, especially like it's that risky. So yeah, were there any concerns of that kind?
In terms of like asking permission, it wasn't a problem because my
Mhm.
sister already did it. So nauna na siya. So
Ah,
so yes, so parang no problem. In terms of adventure, parang everything that I've been doing is just like a portion of what my siblings have done, including my brother and my sister. So parang I think I'm like I consider myself like the most scaredy cat. Maybe my youngest sister, but
youngest.
yeah. So yeah, the youngest sister. But I think in terms of the thought process, now that you ask and I try to remember, I think it was very timely kasi that was the time that I resigned from my first job. So
Mm.
hilig man kay ko og kanang if there's like a major milestone. So, ako siyang
Yeah.
gitime.
Yeah.
So ako siyang gitime na I think it's time to do it. Take the leap since I was also going to move. And then thinking about it, I think yes, it took a parang I decided na to do it, but did a lot of research on what to do. And if I remember correctly, I think 2 or 3 weeks prior there was an accident in
Oh.
Australia sa skydiving. Oo. So there were three of us who were supposed to do it. So parang one wanted to back out.
Mm.
Kay nalagi accident, very recent. But we all pushed through. Oo.
Nice. I'm curious, how many solo trips have you gone on and where?
Solo trips, I did, I can't, siguro I can't distinguish solo na work trip na local. So I'll
Ah,
exclude
okay.
that. But
Mm-hmm.
for like vacation, two. So I went to Korea and to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted
And
to do more. Parang the target was one a year, but I never had the time to do it.
mm-hmm. What were those solo trips like, and how would you compare them with, traveling with companions?
The first one that I did in Korea, I think I was very structured then. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that I needed like someone to go around with. So what I did was I forgot the platform, but they have this local free tours
Uh-huh.
to practice English. I think most are students, high school or college students.
Mm.
So I think that's what I did for Korea. I got local local students to teach, I to help me go around, and then
Oh.
practice ko nilang English. Oo.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think ang bayad lang is snacks or coffee
Mm-hmm.
after. So I'm actually very shy with strangers and new people. So I think that was a good experience. For
Mm-hmm.
Vietnam naman, I think I one thing that I learned from, kasi I did Korea first. One thing that I learned for Vietnam, since also based on research, it's quite different, diba? It's more like Philippines, na it's not really that safe to travel
Right.
alone. So what I did was I looked for a hotel that was right in the city center near the tourist spots. And also pala, I book from, I think, Aviator. Is that correct? I'm not sure.
I haven't tried aviator.
That, or was it Saturday? Sorry, medyo ko na, kanang rusty na kaya akong brain. I haven't thought about traveling for like such a long time. I try
Mm.
to not think about it as much. So, but there's like travel agencies
Mm-hmm.
that handle the tours. So that's what I do
Mm-hmm.
when I travel alone, so that they pick me up and it's not too expensive. For example, for Vietnam, that's what I did for the Cuchi Tunnel.
Ah, I see.
So they picked me up in the hotel, and then parang 3 hours drive. So at least you can save. Kasi I don't drive.
How do you, for those solo trips, how do you try to make yourself feel safe, especially when you know that the destination isn't exactly safe?
Um, I think Korea, no doubt, it's a safe place
Uh-huh.
to travel in solo. I think everybody was very courteous, and it's easy lang in terms of transport. So I didn't really have a hard time. For Vietnam, I actually had a crazy experience. Kasi like in the middle of the night, parang drunk people knocked on my door. So I think upon arrival, I think I arrived, I took a Cebu Pacific flight so I think
Oh.
almost midnight ang arrival. And
Mm.
then sige, panuktok. Like yung, klaro kayo nahubog. They were like
Sa
knocking
car?
on the
Sa
door. So I
car?
just, no, in the room. So like they were like
Oh.
knocking.
Oh, and then?
Oh, and then I just ignored and slept. So okay
Mm.
lang. Oh, so in terms of safety, then when I traveled, I think that was more than 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't even get internet, so I just relied on Wi-Fi from the hotel. So Google Maps rin ako, and then
Mm.
di ba it's set na. Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
What about your top three favorite destinations? Whether
Top,
abroad or here in the Philippines. Or pwede like top three abroad and top three in the Philippines.
can you start first so that I have time to think? Pero
Yeah.
ikaw sa.
Ako, yeah,
Ikaw sa.
I'll try to remember. Ako was, if abroad, I think Salzburg, because that was really my dream because Sound of Music was shot there, diba? So that was really like a dream come true when we went there. And then probably also Santorini and hmm, third, well, I guess I'll always love New York. So yeah, maybe New York. Then in terms of like Philippines, I would say, well, Cebu. But I don't know if you consider that a destination. And maybe never mind. Sige. Maybe Coron.
Or, wait, a part of Cebu na lang? Or si city talaga? Yung gusto?
I know, like the beaches or anywhere in Cebu na beach. Or but
Mm.
aside from Cebu, Coron, and then Panglao in Bohol, and La Union to surf. Or
Yun
Siargao. Oh my
lang.
gosh, Siargao. Siargao.
Siargao.
Ikaw,
Mm.
ikaw.
Okay, my turn. Local first. I think I'm biased sa local kasi daghan kayo. So, hindi in order, but yes, I'm Coron as well. I love Coron.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much to do. And then my second, based on my trip, I really love that plated trip. I
Uh-huh.
think daghan pa kayo areas na wala ako nag-go. And
Mm-hmm.
as I mentioned to some of my friends, if 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 and when this pandemic is over, I'd love to do that
You
experience
go back.
again. Sleeping in, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that's probably my second in terms of like tourist destination and things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And my third is in Darwin. That's 30 minutes from Dumaguete. So I think you can say Dumaguete.
Oh.
We're jump off point to Apo Island.
Ah, okay, okay. For
Yes,
for
yes.
for scuba also.
Yes, for scuba. So it's very amazing. So those
Mm.
three. And then for international, number one is New Zealand. So
Oh.
I love New Zealand. It's very pretty. And then second would be, I don't know why, but I really love Singapore. I
Uh-huh.
don't know why. Parang that's one of the places that I can imagine myself living in.
Uh-huh.
Parang, I think so. Not because of like the tourist, but like the lifestyle. I think that's
Right.
something
I
na
think
I'd
perfect
like.
fit bitaw na niya mo. Like
Yeah, I think so too.
we've talked about this also, diba, na murag, yeah.
Yeah, oo. And then the third is I think I really like Frankfurt. I really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed I stay in Germany. Mhm.
All right. What about what don't you like about traveling?
What don't I like? Oh, that's easy. The unpacking. I
Oh
hate
yeah, yeah, yeah.
unpacking. I don't know why I hate unpacking. Siguro kay I really hate chores. I've been very blunt about it. So I think I consider it as a chore. Mhm.
On the flip side, what's the best part about traveling?
um, I don't know, but I really like the I don't know. I don't know if it's just like nostalgia or if you
Hmm.
can call it that. But I actually miss the airport.
Oh yeah. And
You know,
observing
like
people.
yeah, and just and dragging my bag, and then like thinking about like what stuff to put in the airport bag kasi di ba like an
True,
airport
true.
bag and check-in
Yeah, yeah.
bag. So I really like that. So like just sitting around waiting for your flight. Mm-mm.
Lots of time to think.
Especially
Lots of
yeah,
downtime.
especially international airport, di ba? So
Yeah.
I really love that.
What's your favorite airport so far?
Favorite. I think I'm pretty biased gihapon for Singapore. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why. I think because it's big but not too big. And
Right,
really usually I don't need to take a train or
right.
and depends on the terminal. But like to get there, di ba? It's so
Mm-hmm.
convenient.
True,
Mm-mm.
true. I know we've talked about this also before, but just for purposes of this podcast, no. What are the changes in traveling style that you've noticed or you've observed when, let's say, you were still a student or your early years of working versus you being in your mid 20s onward? So, like, let's say, in terms of your priorities, like the schedule, accommodation, even the choice of seats on the airplane, and then your attitude, over your overall attitude or approach to traveling.
Sorry, there's a buzz. Is that just me? Ayan, wala na.
Sorry, did you hear my
Ayan
question?
na. Yeah, I heard your question.
Okay, go.
Sakto, sakto. I just asked him a question. Ha? Sorry, I'm so bad at this versus kung impromptu. I mean, like I think I answered this last week. I think well, in terms of like the shift in priorities, definitely in terms of packing. Siguro
Mm,
I started packing, no. Before, parang I used to be such a light packer. I try to bring everything in like 7 kilos. So, sort of magbagiid ko ganyan.
mm, mm. Yeah,
Because I want like everything like compact and small.
right.
Pero siguro that was it in terms of packing. Karon, definitely it's changed because I'm more comfortable to check in
Mm-hmm.
because I have no choice for my scuba stuff. It has to be checked in. So because of that, pwede na ako ipuno. Ako ang hand carry. Ay, sorry, ako ang check-in. Wala.
Mm-hmm.
Kalimut na ako sa terms. Pwede na ako ipuno with other stuff. So I'm more comfortable and that's why I enjoy the airport na. because
It's
it's
not
very
heavy.
comfortable. Yes. Oo. And I always bring, even though I say I'm technically mas comfortable ako sa mag-check-in, even if I say that, I always attempt to bring a small carry-on because it's
Mm-hmm.
really very convenient. So I just like tie my shoulder bag or your laptop. Oh, it doesn't hurt your back. I think people find it medyo hassle, but to be honest, it's very convenient to have a
True.
small trolley with you.
Mm-hmm. What about in terms of, let's say, prioritizing what, like, sightseeing over, like, living, I going around the place like a local? Has that changed over the years?
In terms of sightseeing and living like local, I think it's still the same for me.
Mm-hmm.
I try to like make it 50-50. Siguro ang na-add lang karon kay shopping.
I see. Yeah.
Like, oo. So
And we've
siguro before, mm-mm,
go
go
ahead, go
ahead.
ahead.
I mean, like I mentioned, 50-50 before. So siguro karon 40-40-20. So na ni shopping.
What about in terms of accommodation? Do you still, you know, is it quality over, do you appreciate more hotels now than, di ba, like when we were planning our supposed trip to, what was that, Hong Kong, di ba, we were saying na we'd like to stay in a good hotel naman now because if kung ma-afford man, edi go na lang, di ba? Kesa like before na, younger na, we'd go to cheaper hotels or hostels even, and then para you have more budget to do other stuff.
Mm-mm. Oo, I think the whole big change in terms of accommodation. Kasi kay now, I'm okay or I prefer to stay in more a resort feel gani where it's not so suffocating. And I think it comes with age, sorry to
Yeah,
say, but
yeah,
it's not I don't think it's not just like the budget. I think it comes with age kay syempre you want something comfortable and I guess dali na ka makapoy from all the shopping and the walking and the eating. So
yeah.
siguro before it's okay na tapad mo matug. I mean, you think before that was because of budget, but really I think it's also, age. Kasi, we're 30 na. I think it's a bit different. I think it's that, not really just the budget.
Uh-huh.
But definitely accommodation changed. Like I'd I'd stay in hotels na nice ang view, spacious, good ang breakfast.
True.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So you've been traveling ever since, your 20s and then up to now, or even like even younger than 20s. Has the wanderlust waned as you got older? Or is it the opposite?
I would, if you asked me before the pandemic, I'd say parang it's getting more.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it was ever meant to slow down.
Mm,
I felt like layo pa ako sa peak.
true, true.
So, unfortunately, this pandemic happened, and I think I chika na taani before na how I dealt with the lockdown was pretty extreme.
Yeah.
So, I did like a 6 months lockdown yun, like hard lockdown. So I didn't go out for 6 months. I
Yeah.
didn't find any alternatives. And during those 6 months, I really like put into my brain. I don't know why. But accept na ako. Siguro kay like as I mentioned since Feb during my supposedly birthday travel, Feb pa lang, I already knew na there was gonna be some changes in travel.
Mm-hmm.
Feb pa lang. So I don't know what happened, why nung nag-lockdown by March and then daghan kay seat sale April, May. I never bought like my friends bought for October, November. Ako parang I knew ambot. Siguro I'm a pessimistic and a realist
Mm-hmm.
person. I parang I felt that there's really no travel anytime soon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, di ba yun ko, I'm not sure if I'm in denial or what, but I haven't really planned anything.
Mm-hmm.
yet. I mean, there are like, Instagram shows you like photos and videos of what you're missing out. Like, come see us when this lockdown is
Yeah.
over. But I'm usually like booking promos and all, but right now, none.
Mm.
So you could say na maybe nag-slow down, but we'll see.
So wala na kayo FOMO these days.
Like, I think I just park it in my brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I think I just don't acknowledge it. I don't know. Maybe
Mm.
that's one way of coping. Wow.
True, true.
Mhm.
So I know
Mhm.
it's been close to half a year, 6 months since you got on a plane. I wanted to ask
Gosh.
for travel tips, if you still remember. Or like, di ba, you were talking about like medyo rusty na ka, but I'm sure you still remember. It hasn't been that long, Romansad. So first, how do you usually plan a trip?
Okay, so this is pre-COVID, right? We're
Pre-COVID, yeah,
talking about the
pre-COVID.
pre-pandemic. Sorry, rusty na ko, Bash. How do I plan a trip? I always buy the air tickets first.
Uh-huh.
So I've consistently done that. So air tickets gina, and siguro we can say 6 months in advance, 3 to 6 months. It's never like sudden unless like dive in a vacant time.
Okay.
But
Mm-hmm.
if I'm like I said, I'm a planner, so I
Mm-hmm.
buy it ahead. Siguro also so that I can manage my leaves sa work.
Right.
So first, in terms of planning, buy the tickets early. That way, you can get cheap fares. So the difference also is before nung bata pa ta, always ko number one sa kanang mga piso sale.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yes. Pero now na, we're very busy. I think you also noticed that kaya to ang trip ganito 50. 'Di ba that wasn't cheap.
Yeah, yeah.
That wasn't. Oo, so I think na change, no. So in terms of booking the tickets, as long as it fits the schedule that you want, mahalag 6 months ahead.
True.
And very important when you book, ako when I book a ticket ahead, bahalag 6 months or 3 months ahead, it's usually Friday to Monday, Thursday to Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't really matter kung holiday or not, as long as it's that weekend trip.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Oo. So ticket planning, and then I say I'm a planner, but actually I'm a crammer and a procrastinator. So, so I don't know. I think it's a mix or mas pretentious ra ako, but um siguro pag mga 2 weeks na or 3 weeks na, that's when I start to list down where I'd like to go. So
Okay.
that's one. What
Mhm.
what I need to bring. So I actually have an Excel file na I list of all the places that I've been to and very rough itinerary. So
Ah,
it's
okay.
really not detailed.
Yeah.
Kay I think naanad ko with my work manggod na your day has to be efficient in a way na if north ka padong, di ka mo balik all the way to south. So
True.
it's just that. Oo,
Mm-hmm.
dili kay ko mo plan of like super super detailed, pero ano lang ang route lang na dili like all north, all south
Mm-hmm.
para dili sayang ang day. So I have that like rough na ako na siyang i-plot na okay tanan nasa north so kani day 1 ni.
Mm-hmm.
And then since I've never really traveled solo na lately, transpo I don't really like look into it. Kaya ang uban they list na 'di ba how to get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Ako kay no, dili na. Just like where I want to go on that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, sorry, this is very shallow, but like I have a list of my clothes to wear and to
Yeah,
bring.
yeah.
I'm
For
sorry.
sure. For
I
sure.
really do. Yes, like day 1, and then day 2. So, lisod siya if like pa-winter or like bugnaw because like mapuno ako ang lista for like day 1 alone, tulo ka stockings,
Mm-hmm.
like warmers and all. So I think that's for the planning part. So clothes, air tickets, and then schedule. And then the packing itself, um, this isn't environment friendly, but I really love using Ziplocs. I'm so sorry. I love Ziplocs.
Yeah.
So like, my bag has a lot of ziplock. So ako handbag, dikang ziplock. Ako ang hand carry, dikang kig ziplock. So I really like it. It's convenient and it's easy and then you're dispose.
True, true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What
So
about
I'm not sure.
what about your travel essentials? You mentioned you really plan things out when you pack, no? What about what are the things we can always find in your carry-on luggage?
Okay, so this is very consistent sa work trip and sa vacation. Food. I always have food.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I
Lagi
learned that
na.
from you. So after our what is it Thailand trip, diba? Thailand to. Atong gyud.
Thailand,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
After our Thailand trip, like all the trips after that, magsige na ko bring og snacks in my bag.
I think it's I think it's very important. Well, I think I'm not sure. I started with that, I think so work. Kay, we're very small girls page. We're very
Yeah.
petite. So I think ang atong energy level, hindi siya mo last for like 8 hours, right? So I can't work properly when I'm hungry. Unfortunately, siguro kung mag-lunch tag 12 by 3, gutom na ko. So,
Mm-hmm.
hindi na ko maka-focus and I can't do my job well, diba? So, I bring food and there's always extra kay mo sa pumukaon. And then akong boss, din akong
Yung offer.
hatagan, akong assistant. Oh, so always lagi na extra para makakaon ko. Na. So I think that's my essential, no? Food. I'd love to say alcohol, but I think alcohol as in hand alcohol,
Yeah.
really drink. I'd love to say alcohol unta, but I think there were some trips na makalimot ko
Okay.
kung dala.
Mm-hmm.
Oo. Kaya syempre, as girls, we change bags, diba? So, I think it's not always there. But aside from, kani bad na po sa environment, I'm so sorry, but I always bring this when I go, sorry, when I go camping, when I go work trip, definitely. Wet wipes. Oh my God, I love wet wipes. So, kana wet wipes, food, and Ziploc. So,
Mm-hmm.
dili kayo siya healthy sa environment. I'm sorry.
What
Mm.
about when traveling with friends? How do you avoid conflict? Because of course I've heard stories. I haven't personally experienced it, no, but I've heard stories that people actually fight when they travel. Not just couples, but like people like friends fight during travels because as they say, travel brings out the true personality of a person, or you get to know a person more when you travel with that person. So, how do you or deal with how do you deal with conflict?
I don't really know how to deal with conflicts that well. Sorry.
But
I think I'm not
Have you tried na kayo nakaaway during a trip?
so well I've tried that there were some inconveniences. But like
Mm-hmm.
I said, I don't know how to handle conflict, so I just keep it in.
Uh,
Yes, I don't really like confront.
Non-confrontational, yes.
Yes, I don't do that, unfortunately. So I think you should, diba? So what I do instead, like there was like I mentioned this to some of my friends before. What I do instead is you don't do it again lang. You don't travel with the person again. Now
True.
that you know, that's
True.
one. If di niyo kaya mo confront, ay na nag-usab. Kaysa magreklamo ka, di ba?
Very practical, Dash.
Okay, di man ako kaya ingon. I mean, like, so di na lang, di ba? To be honest, lahi mo yun. Like, for example, there are half of my trips or even more siguro is rough trip. Like,
Mm,
overnight sa camp,
yeah.
overnight sa cave, camping, and na ako yung friend by the name of Natasha. Wow, she knows that. Di na yun ako siya i-invite kung nana. Kaya dili man niya trip, di man niya
Right.
kaya. So, di ba? So we adjust. And then, our trips mostly is food trip and shopping. Yung tita
Mm,
trip,
yeah.
so if you want to splurge, and that's where we stay in very nice hotels, na nice ang pool, very, very nice breakfast. Kaya mo manihang trip,
Mm,
diba? So, I think you just adjust. You don't really force. Say, I think it's good to confront, but at the same time, I think it also depends on what you expect. Okay, what if mo gina siya na person? For example, I confront, ngayon ko na, ganahan ko, mukuyog ka na ako og caving, pwede mo gina niya trip.
True.
So, I don't
Why
know. I don't
pagsanay?
really know how to confront. Oh, ring na na. I just adjust instead of confronting. I'm sorry, di ko ka mo confront. Or it will get awkward if I do, when I'm forced to. So I just avoid.
Mm-hmm. What about where do you look forward to going as soon as travel restrictions, at least for leisure, are lifted? And what's your dream
Um,
destination?
I don't know why, but like 3 weeks ago, I told my friend, nag-story me about asa ka mo, ganahan mo fly
Mm.
during or after the lockdown. I don't know why, but I said Korea. Siguro ka I want to travel solo again. And it was really
Oh
easy
my gosh.
breezy.
And because of all the K-dramas na atong ipang tanaw.
Sorry. I think so too.
Bash
Pero,
ko ana, pero we can go solo.
yes, please. Oo, si Kay po niya na po siya na maybe magkita-ganahan po siya mag-Korea. But, you know, since this is all about traveling and I think I can safely promote or encourage your listeners, wow,
Wow.
to consider their first solo trip to Korea. Okay? It's very easy, they're very polite, and it's not as big as Japan na marag feeling mo. I mean, I think
Mm-hmm.
Japan is pretty busy and Korea is also busy but not as. I mean, for me, abot lang. And so I don't know why I answered Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Wherein pwede man mag-Japan, pwede man mag-New Zealand, pwede man mag-Singapore. But for some reason, I think because I wanted to travel solo. When ang Korea, automatic ako na think. For local, besh, daghan kayo. Like, I want to go back
You
to
wanna go back?
Darwin. I want to go back to Darwin to dive because I really
Mm-hmm.
had an amazing time. So for the Cebuano listeners, please consider going to Darwin or to Apo Island. It's a very nice place. And if you want to learn how to scuba dive, I think that's the best place to try in
Mm.
Darwin. So it's very laid back. It's like the Marshall Siargao of the divers. I think, I mean, for me,
Oh.
that vibe,
Di ba
that
na
vibe, I
daghan
think.
kaayog pawikan na makitaan?
Yes, yes. Oh, so I really like Darwin. So I love Darwin. So for local, I think na gahan ko mo balik Darwin, and then the new place siguro that I like to go to is siguro Batanes. I don't
Ah,
know
yes.
because I heard nindot pa daw ang diving there.
Unay diving day. I didn't know there was diving.
Yes, yes. So I think, and I haven't been there. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
So I'm down to my last question, Besh. What has
Wait,
traveling?
ikaw, Besh. Sorry, ikaw. Wa pa ka ni answer. In terms of location, ganyan ni ask mo ko, di ba, yung top 3. So,
Oh yeah,
karon ikaw, where do you,
I wanna go to Australia to visit Brenton
okay.
and
Oh,
yeah. So
Melbourne. Mm.
Melbourne and Sydney, or because I was really planning to go to Australia dapat this year or next year. So yeah. Or
Dungan di punta na, Besh. Dungan ko, kuyog
why
ko,
not?
ana.
Sige.
Sa flight, ito magkita. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Or maybe New York, just to watch Jagged Little Pill if they open again. So yeah. So
Local.
yeah, my local. I just wanna go to Siargao.
You've been na, di ba?
Yeah, but I wanna go back
Okay.
and surf. We were actually planning to go to Siargao June and then na-cancel. So yeah, Siargao.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So there. Okay, so my last question for you, Beshi, is what has traveling taught you? Ah,
Oh my
diba?
God. Pwede ikaw sa, ang coffee na po ko. Pwede, since it's the last, do you have like top of mind answer?
My top of mind answer was to be more confident in my skills, in my interpersonal skills, in my what do you call this? In my navigating skills, everything. Like mo level up jud ko whenever I travel. Because diba, like especially when you're not traveling with anyone or you're traveling with or you're meeting up with friends there lang, you're really forced out of your comfort zone. So murag mas mobaga imong naong and you're not ashamed to ask people because no one knows you anyway, right? So yeah, that's my top of mind answer.
I think same unta tag answer. But my my gonna give me time to think.
Go,
That would have
go.
been like my Miss Universe answer. Pero now na nag-think ko about it, you know, I think it has taught me to relax and to
Mm,
chill. It's not always about like going out, meeting your itineraries, ipuno ang imong schedule, but it's really to enjoy and to relax, which I think in general I'm not a very relaxed and chill person. Tingnan ko always on the go, always full. So lately, siguro kay like I said, bata-bata pa ta sa una. So I think it will really change. Karon kay murag it always has to be part of the like itinerary. The relaxing part na dapat dili ka rushed.
true, true.
But it's
Thanks
not
so
really
much.
about
Yeah, go
like
ahead. Sorry.
full.
Yeah,
Uh,
not about filling
or
your
ito.
itinerary with all activities and not leaving time for yourself, 'di ba? Na, 'di ba, you travel
Mm-mm.
because you also want to have time for yourself.
Mm-mm.
Thanks so much, Beshi. It was so great, to talk about travel with you, especially because it's something we love to do, being really laagan people. And now, murag, di ba? It's a huge change for us. This whole lockdown. So yeah, thanks for your time, and let's chika after. I'll just stop recording. Bye.
Thank you, Paige.
Paolo is back with us for the last time, at least for now, to talk about the health benefits of VCO. Hi, Paolo.
Hey Paige, great to be back.
So, what are the health benefits of VCO?
All right, so the f- uh, the best benefit of VCO is that it may help boost your immune system versus viruses and pathogenic microbes. Studies show and ongoing clinical trials are proof of the promise of nature's superfood.
I see. Does your VCO contain antioxidants?
Yes, our VCO does. And even more, as in our process, we include the testa or the brown paring layer of the coconut meat. So studies show that this part of the coconut meat is quite rich in antioxidants, such as polyphenols, tocotrienols, and tocopherols, among others.
So we can just search those terms just to, make
Yes.
sure what they mean. What about the side effects? Are there any side effects
All
to
right.
using the product?
Yes. Okay. So for some first-time users, taking coconut oil may cause LBM.
What?
Yeah, but LBM is actually a good sign of detoxing, where all the toxins, pathogens in the stomach are expelled. So
Okay.
it's important to drink water to hydrate, especially after drinking VCO, because it may feel a bit oily. But if the LBM is prolonged, discontinue the coconut oil. Some also might experience slight nausea for the first time of taking it. So just remember, take it after meal so your stomach is full.
I see. So it's just like medicine.
Yes, exactly.
What about in terms of approvals or, you know, professional approvals? Is your virgin coconut oil cosmetic grade?
Okay. So yes, it's both food grade and cosmetic grade.
I see.
So it is an excellent carrier oil and ingredient for natural cosmetic products because of its MCTs, its excellent skin absorption feature, and antimicrobial feature as it interacts with the skin.
Lastly, is your virgin coconut oil all natural and FDA approved?
Yes, before taking anything, you must ensure that it is. And I'm happy to say that our product is FDA approved.
All right, so there you have it, guys. You can find Cocolicious VCO in Watson's, Cultura, and South Star Drug, right?
Yes.
All right, so Paula, thanks for joining us and sharing facts about Cocolicious VCO. I really learned a lot, and again, thank you for partnering with us for 8 straight episodes.
Thanks so much, Fades. And I hope everyone out there is safe and healthy. See you soon.